Hello guys, welcome back to London and beyond. My name is Shay, coming to you from sunny Green Park in central London. In today's video, we're going to be talking getting into London. So, you've booked your holiday, you know where you're going to land, but what's your options in regards to getting into the centre of London? Luckily, I've got all the ideas for you. So, London is served by 6 major international airports: Heathrow in the west, Gatwick in the south, Luton and Stansted in the north, Southend in the east, and London City Airport in the centre. I'll be talking you through each airport one by one and your travel options into town. Let's go. Guys, Heathrow is the first airport that I want to speak about. This is London's busiest airport and is located 14 miles west of central London. From Heathrow, you have 3 transport options. But first, it's important to know that Heathrow has 3 train stations inside of it. Terminal 1 train station, Terminals 2, 3 and 4 train station, which is all one station, and Terminal 5. Which station you get on at depends on which terminal your plane lands in. So, what are the 3 transport options in regards to trains? The first and most obvious one is the London Underground, the Piccadilly line. This train travels from right here in Green Park, from King's Cross, from Knightsbridge, from Covent Garden, all the way to Heathrow Airport. A typical journey time from Heathrow Airport to central London will probably take you at least half an hour, 35 minutes or so, as it's a very slow metro service. But it is the most cheapest option. So guys, if you're not too bothered about a long journey into London and you want a cheap journey, the Piccadilly line is the method for you. The second option, which is my favourite when I go to Heathrow, is the Heathrow Express. Now, the Heathrow Express is a lot more expensive than the Piccadilly line, but you get into central London in 15 minutes into London Paddington Station. The Heathrow Express is a non-stop service and it's got luggage-built carriages for you to put your luggage into. And you get into London in 15 minutes. Bear in mind, your Oyster cards are not valid on the Heathrow Express, so you have to buy a special ticket for the Heathrow Express. So guys, the third and final option is the TfL rail. The TfL rail runs on the same route as the Heathrow Express, except it stops at intermediate stations between London Paddington and Heathrow Airport. With the TfL rail service, it is a bit cheaper than the Heathrow Express, with tickets starting from around £10.50, but it does take longer. So it is an option as well, but choose wisely. It's important to note as well, guys, that from Heathrow Airport, between each of the 3 Heathrow stations, you have free travel. So for example, if you want to travel from Heathrow Terminal 5 to Heathrow Terminal 1, you will not be charged on your Oyster card for that journey. Likewise, if you go from Heathrow's Terminals 2, 3 and 4 to 5 or to 1, you will not be charged. Very, very important. Gatwick Airport is the next airport that I want to speak about. It's important to note that Gatwick Airport is not in London. Gatwick Airport is located about 30 miles south of central London in West Sussex. Gatwick is connected to central London, where we are now, via 3 various train companies. The most obvious one is the Gatwick Express. The Gatwick Express is a half-hourly train service that runs between Gatwick Airport Station and London Victoria, which is a non-stop service. The good thing about Gatwick Airport is that there's only 1 station in the airport. And as you can see on the screen, because it's a direct airport service, tickets can be quite expensive. The other options are a Thameslink service. Our Thameslink is very unique because Thameslink goes beyond central London. Even though Gatwick Airport is not in London, guys, Oyster cards are valid to Gatwick Airport. So you can use your Oyster cards to get to Gatwick Airport, even though it's not in London. The next airport that I want to speak about is London Luton Airport. And like Gatwick, Luton Airport is not in London. Luton Airport is located about 30 miles north of central London, and it's on the Thameslink route from St Pancras and also on the East Midlands Railway as well. The first thing to notice about Luton when you arrive is that The train station is not in the airport. So Luton Airport does not have its own train station in the airport. Instead, the nearest airport is Luton Airport Parkway, which can be located via a shuttle bus service which travels between Luton Airport and Luton Airport Parkway station every few minutes or so. The journey time between the two is about 5 minutes, and from Luton Airport Parkway you can get the train into central London. Journey times between Luton Airport Parkway and St Pancras International is about 25 minutes to half an hour or so. It's important to note as well that Oyster cards are not valid at London Luton Airport or London Luton Airport Parkway. You can use contactless, which I'll explain in another video, but Oyster cards are not valid, so you must buy a ticket before you travel. Very, very important, you must buy a ticket before you travel. It's worth noting as well, guys, that from Luton Airport Parkway you can also get a East Midlands Railway service straight to London. Now, most of these trains don't stop at Luton Airport Parkway. Most of them pass through at high speeds heading further up to St Pancras, and also the other way to Derby, Leicester, Nottingham, Sheffield, Leeds, etc. But I believe 1 or 2 trains an hour actually travel between Luton Airport Parkway and St Pancras. Now, these trains offer a direct service between Luton Airport Parkway and St Pancras International, so that is an option as well. But 9 times out of 10, when you arrive at Luton Airport Parkway station, Thameslink will be the first train that you see. So guys, the next airport I want to speak about is Stansted Airport. So Stansted Airport is also not in London. Stansted Airport is located about 35 miles north of central London in a place called Stansted Mount Fitchett in Essex. So to get from Stansted Airport to central London, there is a special train service called the Stansted Express. The Stansted Express is a half-hourly service between Stansted Airport Station and London Liverpool Street. Unlike the other airport services such as the Heathrow Express and the Gatwick Express, the Stansted Express is not a direct service and actually makes stops in places like Tottenham Hale and other places. The good thing about the Stansted Express is that if you get the Stansted Express, instead of going into central London through Liverpool Street, you can get off at Tottenham Hale and take the Victoria line into King's Cross, into Victoria, into Green Park, Oxford Circus and many other places. It's important to know that on the Stansted Express, Oyster cards and contactless are not valid. So you must, and I repeat, you must buy a special ticket for this journey. So guys, the next airport I want to speak about is Southend Airport. So Southend Airport, like the others, is not in London. It's located about 36 miles east of central London in a place called Essex. So with Southend Airport, there's only one train service that travels between Southend Airport and central London. This is a direct Greater Anglia service from London Liverpool Street to Southend Airport, which is on the Southend Victoria line. Journey times between Liverpool Street and Southend Airport take about 53 minutes, but the route as well also connects you with Stratford. So if you need to change at Stratford and change for the Tube or the London Overground or any other mode of transport, it's a very, very good service. Also as well, Oyster and contactless is not valid at Southend Airport, so you must buy a ticket. Last but not least is London City Airport. So London City Airport is geographically the closest airport to central London, and it's located right on the Victoria docks basically. So once you get into the airport, it's actually connected via the Docklands Light Railway, which is basically like a mini monorail basically, and from there you can use your Oyster card to get into pretty much various locations within half an hour, which includes Bank Station in London, Canary Wharf, Stratford. You can get to many locations from London City Airport. So this is a very, very good place to land. But the only issue is that London City Airport is a very, very small airport. So most tourists won't actually land at this airport. I'll start with taxis. Taxis, for obvious reasons, I would tend to avoid, only because, as you know, the cost and also as well the luggage space as well. So for example, I mean, let's just take Luton for example. I mean, if you're traveling from London Luton to, let's say, Trafalgar Square via taxi, that is minimum a 45-minute journey. That's going to cost you a lot of money depending on, you know, how many people you're with and so on. What I would suggest is generally using the train. If you can't avoid using the taxi, use the taxi basically. In terms of actual buses are more feasible. So airport buses run by National Express depart from Victoria bus station to the various airports at different periods of the day. So guys, that's all for today's video. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. And let me know what you want to see me do next. Let me know where you want to see me go or talk about. Anyway, in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.